Bienvenidos, señores. Here we are at the program from the neighborhood. Welcome to the program. This is Saturday, 11 o'clock, and you know we're here to tell you guys about the neighborhood. Aquí hablamos de los vecindarios. Llegamos a conocer a personas locales que están haciendo cosas que son notables en su vecindario, cosas que están creando el impacto, superestrellas que son sus vecinos. Imagine that. You got a superstar living next door that's doing some amazing things, notable things, changing their community, and they're living right next door. But you don't know this because a lot of the times we're on social media and we're reaching out to people who are miles and miles away in different states, and we're forgetting about the folks next door. And these are amazing communities that are comprised of so many wonderful colors, so many cultures. These are the people that we need to connect with right away. They're all from the neighborhood, and they're coming to this program. And with that, folks, I want to go ahead and introduce to you the opportunity that if you have a great story and you want to tell me about it, you want to be part of the show, señores, ustedes están invitados. Busca From the Neighborhood en cualquiera de los medios sociales y se puede comunicar conmigo. We can connect on social media and you can tell me about your story. Let me know. What are you doing? What's interesting? What's happening in your community? And guess what? You could be a part of the show. And today, well, check this out. I'm wearing Brooklyn because we're going to go to Brooklyn. I've got a great guest from Brooklyn who's got an amazing story. They've done some really, really cool stuff, and they're on to doing some pretty big things. You've probably heard them because they do this too. You've got their voice going into your ear. They've got stories. They've been on screen, whether big screens, small screens. They're a well-accomplished person, and I'm so proud to be wearing this shirt today because they're here on the program. So I'm bringing somebody from Brooklyn, so Brooklyn represent, and they're here to talk to us about what they're doing. Now, if you guys want to get your business known in an area like Brooklyn, you operate in Brooklyn, you serve the people of Brooklyn. Here at Latino Mixx, we've got an entire team that can help you out. If you guys are looking to advertise to get your word out there, this is where to go. Reach out to us here at Latino Mixx. Reach out to me, again, from the neighborhood. Super easy to find. You guys can connect with me, and I'll go ahead and put you in touch with the team, and we can produce something that you're absolutely going to love and your customers will connect to. And with that, folks, as I mentioned before, I'm wearing a Brooklyn shirt. You guys can check out the store. We've got the store at fromtheneighborhood.com. Just jump on there and you can pick up the gear, whether you're Brooklyn, Queens, Bronx, all of the boroughs, and Long Island. We've represented, and you guys can pick that up and sport that jersey, that t-shirt, that hoodie. I mean, there's tons of stuff, guys. And guess what? A new store is coming soon with brand new designs. So I want you guys to go ahead and check it out. Chequense esa tienda, la estoy remodelando completa y va a venir con nuevos descuentos, nuevos estilos. Ustedes le van a encantar. And wow, that is a lot for me to unload in one shot. But guess what? Yesterday was probably a lot for you. I mean, it was Friday. Everybody was saying TGIF. Thank goodness it's Friday. You're probably in a lot of pain. You're in a lot of hurt because last night you went out and partied. And now you're listening to me on the radio and you're like, man, Anthony, what is with all this energy? Well, guess what, man? When you're full of pain, when you're in a house of pain, the only way to let it loose is if you jump around. So I'm going to go with that jam right there. House of Pain, jump around. Let's go.
De regreso con Anthony from the neighborhood.
Y estamos, señores. Here we are back at the program, guys. And as I said, we have an amazing guest today. And we've been doing this every single week, guys. You only get me once in a while where I get to talk to you on a one-on-one. And I start getting into the mind and I start saying, hey, listen, this is the way I feel. It's kind of like a therapy session, right? And we jam it up with some good old school music, some old school playback that gets you reminding you of the way you were when you were a child, when things were innocent, when things were playful. And I've got a super playful person who's going to come on, by the way. So let me just give you her name. So it's Rachel Strauss, but that is her government name. It's not what everybody knows her for. Now, if you've known her for a while, if you've been following her for a while, you probably know the name. But she has another name, which I'm not going to let out of the bag. When you start hearing her voice, you're going to say, oh, sí, esta es así. This one's like that. She's super excitable. She's sassy. She's funny. She's witty. She's super clever. I mean, it takes a lot to fill up her shoes. And she's been to many places of the world. And she's also been with many talents and in many different roles. I'm just proud to say that she started in Brooklyn. So as I said, folks, we're going to go to Brooklyn. We're going to meet this special person, esta persona muy especial, multitalentosa. Aquí vamos nosotros a comenzar este programa con la señora Rachel Strauss. And with that, I want to start the introduction. She's just walked into the studio. She just sat down. So welcome as she gets her headphones on. Welcome to the studio, Rachel Strauss.
Hello. Thank you so much for the stadium applause. Wow. I have to say, it's something I'm used to. That sounds like about
she already
5,000. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot. So what happens is that we have people with extra hands. Yeah.
I can hear the extra hands.
Yeah.
And it's getting louder. They love me. They like me. They really like me.
This is like the Instagram reel where you come out of your house and everybody's clapping and yelling for you, right?
You guys don't hear that in your head when you leave the house?
Actually, I do. And it also sounds like a lot like the shower, too.
Oh, no. Yeah, in the shower. But there's an echo to that kind of applause.
Yes, there is.
And how do we get all those people in our showers? It's really
I don't know. But it's a place where you really feel good for some reason.
I don't sing in the shower. And I'm going to tell you why real quick, Anthony. I know we have a show to get to and whatnot. But basically, and thanks for that really warm introduction.
Hey, you deserve it.
It really tugged at the heartstrings. Thanks. I don't sing in my shower because I live in a small New York City apartment. And so my shower is connected to my neighbor's living room. So if I sing...
You'll sing for the neighborhood.
And I do sing. I do sing from time to time.
Yeah.
Sometimes in a sketch comedy show, I have to learn a song or something. Like I'm going to perform. You know this. You have to learn a song or lyrics if you're going to do a video, whatever.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure she thinks I'm a loca for real because she can hear everything, including when I was rehearsing a song for like a pretend anti-Trump rally, and I had to sing some weird stuff, and I had to sing it over and over and over and over again until I got the lyrics because it was for a live comedy show.
In your shower?
It was in the bathroom,
okay.
Not in the shower because, like I said, the acoustics in the shower just don't really work. But thanks for having me here.
Yes.
It's really nice to be out here, out on the island that is long.
I'm happy to have you. You kind of let it out the bag. You said La Loca. So why don't you give people your real name, the name that people have been following you with? What's the name?
Oh, that's funny that you said the real name. Well, the real name is Rachel La Loca. It's kind of like what it sounds like, a very Jewish name up top, Rachel, Rachel, and La Loca. You know what I'm saying? I had to say it loud. Sorry if I was too loud on the mic. But La Loca is, I'm saying, a little bit of Dominican in there, Latina.
Now,
to
you're
the
a mix.
18th degree. Yep, I'm a mix of all of that, a smorgasbord, a sancocho.
You got Rachel Strauss, but you go Rachel La Loca. So now... Tell me, first of all, La Loca, where does it come from? And it had to be the Dominican side that just stuck it on you. But did you do something one time where your mom was like, no, it's La Loca? That's the crazy one in the family.
Anthony, I love this. And I love that you fabricated a story in your head about where La Loca came from. I wonder if other people have done that. That's like a question.
We embody ourselves in thinking like, wait, was that my mom or is that my dad, right? Because, as a little kid, they always attach a name to you. Like, yo siempre era el morenito. They're like, oh, el morenito. Like, yeah.
Wow.
Because everybody else was some slightly pale versus me. So, yeah, they would just call me that. So now I realized that in Dominican culture, we have nicknames. Everybody gets a nickname for whatever reason is. I mean, like my best friend, they call him Cookie. It doesn't look anything like a cookie, but so was it for your parents? Where'd it come from?
I love this so much. Okay, now let's break the suspense for the viewers and listeners out there. So actually, I was given the name Loca in high school when I was a upper junior becoming a senior because I was appointed cheerleader captain of the squad. And that was the one opportunity that I had to change the name on the back of my jersey and on my cheerleader uniform, which said Rachel for 3 years. But guess what? On the squad, there were 3 Rachels. So this was the opportunity for me to give myself some Rachel distinction and not be called Rachel S. Yes. I was tired of the Rachel S. You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh. Yes.
So we were there.
That's so Rachel to be classified with the same group of people. That's
okay. Shout out to all the Rachels out there. ELs, AELs. Oh yeah, I see ya. You know what I'm saying? Mazel tov. So you'll check it. So at that point, it was me, my really good friend. It was my little Latina crew that I started to like come into my own skin with during high school because I was like Latina and I was like, oh, these people are so cool to hang out with and celebrate culture with,
Yeah.
So my friend at the time put Chula on the back of her jersey.
Oh.
And I was like, wait a minute, and then my other homegirl, Irma, shout out to Irma put Boricua on the back. And I'm like, Dominicana's like 75 letters. Dominicana's like 73. What should I do? And shout out to Ruthie. Ruthie was like, you're loca. So why don't you put Loca?
La Loca.
I was given that name in high school.
It stuck because we're talking, just a few years later, okay? And you still got the name. So now let me go back because we're hinting that you have this half and half and there's this mixture of culture and you've said a few things, but let's put it out there. You are half Russian, right? Russian Jew.
Descent of Eastern Europe, right? We're not entirely sure, but like Ukraine, Russia, that whole area somewhere.
Eastern Europe. Okay, Eastern Europe. And you have Dominican Republic.
Yeah.
So it's mom, dad. How's it broken up?
So yeah, dad is a descendant of Eastern Europe.
Okay.
And he and his dad and his dad's dad were born in Brooklyn, Brooknum.
Nice.
Okay, BK to the fullest.
Yes.
Right? And then mom is de la isla, de la capital. Capitaleña,
Wow.
Santo Domingo.
So where were you born in
Sánchez
Brooklyn?
Osama.
Where exactly? Like I'm picturing like southern parts of Brooklyn, like central Brooklyn or something like that.
I'm not from like the cool part of Brooklyn. Everyone's like, oh, you're from Williesburg? I'm like, no, whatever the kids are calling it now. Willie B, Willie Berg.
Yes.
I'm not from the Wick. I don't know if they're calling Bushwick that, but
Bushwick gets the Wick or East Williamsburg and stuff like that. Yeah, you get all sorts of things.
I'm from Brooklyn South. So that's like ways away. I'm from Sheepshead Bay. That rhymed.
Oh, okay. So you're like Brooklyn South, like the TV show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? So Brooklyn Nine-Nine is right. So I love that show so much. But I will say when I first tuned into it, I was expecting Southern Brooklyn accents because it's very distinct.
Yes.
And I tried not to like mute it, but I do try to contain her. Because South Brooklyn Rachel is very, you know, forget about it. Like, you don't want her to come out here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It
It
gets
gets
loud.
wild.
And when I meet somebody from South Brooklyn, there's like a connection. So yeah, Sheepshead Bay representing, but you know, I went to school a little away from Sheepshead Bay.
Yeah. Well, you embrace it really well. I mean, it seems to me like, you know, you have a good mixture of both things going on, obviously in your name itself, but now what you're embracing and what we're going to get to. La cosa que ella está haciendo es muy sorprendente porque ella lo está poniendo al aire, al público. Así como nos estamos comunicando nosotros. You're really touching people through the work that you're doing, which, I mean, your list is huge.
Oh, Anthony.
Like, I've got to leave it for another segment, but I'm going to say that, you know, your mom, Dominican and Dominican Catholic, right? And your dad, Russian Jew. How were the parties in your house? Like when you guys got together, you know, which one drank the most, danced the most, right? How was that?
That's a really great question, and it reminds me of like Navidad, like the holiday time, because it was lit. It was so lit. It was so lit that like as a child, the night before, I'm like, yo, tomorrow we celebrate Hanukkah and Christmas. Yes, like it was the day. So we didn't really do Nochebuena, you know, like that's a very Dominican thing to do. But like we would do the entire 24 hours of Christmas Day.
Wow.
I mean, we would wake up and do all the aunts, right? Like Aunt Rose and all the aunts in Brooklyn. You know what I'm saying? Happy Hanukkah, everybody.
So everything was in your house?
Coming through. No, we would like run the circuit. It was rarely in my house. Not sure, maybe because my dad's a germaphobe or because we would just like go on tour.
Yeah.
I like the tour because we would hop into like Plymouth Duster, Dodge Aspen, Chevy Impala. You know what I'm saying? I'm throwing
My
back to
dad
like...
had a Chevy Impala.
You
oh
know?
my gosh, yes.
So we would like get in the car
You feel
real quick.
9 people fit in that thing.
Forget it. My brother and sister would fight the whole time in the back seat, and I'd be there. You know, actually, the car seat for like kids was in the front seat at the time. They didn't really care about
No
like
seatbelts either.
toddlers and children. You know what I'm saying? And they're like, yeah, why don't we just put her in the hood? Why don't we put her on the windshield? You know what I'm saying?
Not for nothing, but when like SUVs started coming out, that was the third row. Like, and it was like bodies on each other. Like, however you fit. We were like 6 packs of beer. Like literally.
Presidente, all of us.
Pull in your knees and sit in the back. That's crazy.
So it was lit because we got to celebrate both. And let me tell you, as a child, I'm looking at the party side of it. Like, ay, party, hoy se bebe leche. But, you know, hoy se bebe. And as a child, I'm very excited about it. But then now as an adult, I'm so appreciative of those moments because I really got to embrace so much culture. So much at once that it was like culture overload. But it was wonderful because I got to learn and celebrate. And they were both joyous times. Although when I would walk in the door, like the Jewish side of the family would always say the same thing as the Dominican side. Oh, you put on some weight. Wait a minute. You were dad. What
and
do
then
you
in Dominican side, tú estás gorda, muchacha, ¿qué es lo que está pasando?
¿Qué ella está comiendo? What is she eating all day? What, you know, what are you giving
That's
her?
how it happens, yeah. And it's so
I was
funny
used to that part of it.
We're so different, like in other words, geographically, but yet we relate to the same things in different languages.
Totally.
But you have, like you just said, the aunts are the ones saying it.
My tias are yentas.
Yeah, they're all saying it.
Yeah. Sometimes there's the like, you know, ta cruzao, where I cross the Yiddish and then the Dominican Spanish. It's really eerie. So I hope you can join me on this journey.
Oh my gosh, I love it. You know, as a matter of fact, let's do this. We can cross more and more of this. And it's like when you have a dish, right? And this is the way I kind of look at culture. I look at life and people. Like you can't leave an ingredient out of your plate. So like the way you've embraced two sides of your life, it's almost like embracing the salt and the pepper, because otherwise whatever you're going to eat has no flavor. And with that, I'm going to go to a quick break right now. And this is Salt and Pepper. Let's push it, because we're going to get to a next topic.
That's amazing.
De regreso con Anthony from the Neighborhood.
Señores, ¿qué tal? Aquí regresamos a un tema que estamos hablando aquí con Rachel, nuestra invitada, pero tengo muchas cosas que contar después de lo que te hemos hablado ya, y sabemos que ella está de Brooklyn y que ha pasado por varias cosas en su vida, especialmente la mezcla de cultura. So that's mixture of culture, being in Brooklyn, and all of the exciting things that Rachel's going to be doing here on the show and telling us about in her life. We're going to get to. But first, I want to go ahead and make sure that we shout out our sponsor for the program, who has been making this possible for this entire month. And let me go ahead and get this quick drop real quick. Boom, there you go. And our sponsor is Susie Padro. She's a loan officer with Nationwide Mortgage Bankers. Susie's a loan officer, and that's NMLS number 1310470. You can reach her at 516-281-5433. Once again, it's 516-281-5433, and that's Susie Padro of Nationwide Mortgage Bankers, NMLS number 1310470. Llámala hoy al 516-281-5433 para cualquier pregunta que tenga sobre hipotecas, su compra nueva de casas. You guys can reach out to her for all those answers, whether you're refinancing or buying your new home. So let's get back with the program now. And I've got Rachel here sitting on my side.
Hola.
We went through Brooklyn. We talked a little bit about it. I actually want to know some of your favorite places, but now your parents, they got together somehow in this amazing borough. How did your dad, who's Eastern European, and your mom, Dominican, how did they meet?
I love that question. I will give you an abridged answer, you know, just for the sake of not keeping you here for 3 hours.
And because you weren't there when they actually met.
That is true. I mean, maybe a piece of me was there in spirit, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Or maybe I was a morsel of sand before I was a human.
The essence of Rachel in the air.
But they did meet on the sands of life. I'm making this very dramatic.
Wow.
They did meet on the beach. Shout out to Brighton Beach in South Brooklyn. Mommy was here on vacation visiting her dad, who was doing the Dominican thing. You know, my grandpa came here to settle down, find the apartment, then he would call for the kids and bring them all over. But they would come visit him every summer while he was doing all that process. So she was here with my tia Clara, rest in peace. And they were just two really beautiful, I guess, vivacious Dominican women having fun on a blanket, watching the waves and imagining that it was Boca Chica. And then
It's such a difference, the two.
you know, trying to figure out, like, past all the hypodermic needles that are crashing in the waves of the beach of Brooklyn.
That's how I pictured it back in those days. Yeah.
So
I'm thinking this is back in the 80s somehow, back then, right? Like,
actually, rewind even more, Anthony. This is 1966.
man, girl, you hold up well. I don't know what's your age, but I was thinking the 80s like you were just the other day in high school.
Bueno.
Wow, Rachel.
I think I'm an old soul.
Yeah, no, you're not.
All
no,
right,
you're not.
I don't know,
I thought
but-
those were highlights, by the way.
You thought my gray streak was like
I thought you were
on
messing around.
purpose?
Yeah.
He thought that this was real. Okay, I used to die over this for a really long time with, you know, color tips.
Yeah.
And my mother, shout out to my mom, one day at Thanksgiving was like, déjalo crecer.
It looks dope. You look like Storm from, like, you know, X-Men.
I've heard
It looks
Storm,
really cool.
I've heard Rogue, I've heard
Yeah.
Cruella de Vil, although there's not a Cruella de Vil bone in my body, okay? So back to the beach, right?
Yeah.
So my dad that summer was studying to be a history teacher. But because there was a shortage of language teachers, they asked this man if he could learn Spanish and teach Spanish to
The love language.
right? Español.
Wow.
Para, you know, to teach the children in Greenpoint, Brooklyn, Spanish.
Cool.
So my dad, Mr. Strauss, took a crash course in Spanish, and I guess in the interim just like became conversational with it and had the confidence to approach my mom on the beach and hit her with that, you know, ¿Qué hora es? ¿Cómo está? type stuff. ¿Quiere ir a la película? You know, like, and he still speaks that way to this day. Like, shout out to my dad, who speaks fluent Spanish with a very South Brooklyn accent. It's quite lovely to hear. It's a smorgasbord of mofongo and like matzah.
Well, that's awesome. You know, it's nice that your parents met together in the beach. It sounds so romantic. I mean, like, what did your aunt have to say about this one?
Okay, so that's really funny because I heard, rumor has it that my uncle Jerry was with my dad and asked my tia Clara out on a date so they could go on a double date, but she shut that down real quick. No gringo. Sorry,
man.
gringo. Yo soy
Wow.
dominicana. Estoy buscando.
Spanish classes went a long way
Ya
for
tú
this.
sabes. You know, if you don't drink Mama Juana, don't come by my Tia Clara. You know what
Really?
I'm saying? I don't
Man,
know if that's what she used to say.
Is that how she used to talk?
No. You know, shout out to Tia Clara real quick. We lost her to breast cancer, but my goodness, she is one of my comedy inspirations because she was the funny Tia.
Yeah.
She was the Tia that would not stop cracking jokes, that would make jokes about anything and everything. Everything was comedy, and I loved being around her so much. One of my inspirations.
Now, it sounds to me like you were really inspired by the Latino side. And if I fast forward to like almost to Rachel present day or yesterday, let's say, college. Now, you went to Brooklyn College. CUNY represent, CUNY school. And you're in Brooklyn College, you're studying business, you're studying marketing, but then something happens where you needed to fill in your schedule or like you needed to get an extra class. How does this relate to the whole getting in touch with your Latino side? What class did you actually put into your program?
Anthony, I can't believe you did so much research on me. You must have heard an interview where I spoke about this.
Yeah, something was missing there. I really need to find this out.
Bueno, this is so great because I'm still friends with that professor that basically changed my college career and probably had a lot of influence now that I think about it in my career.
Wow, give him a shout out. What's the name?
Shout out to Professor Antonio Nadal at Brooklyn College, who that was my first Latino studies class. It was Intro to Puerto Rican Music. So we learned about music and how it connects us to our ancestors. I learned about bomba and plena and guaguancó and, you know, the Taino Indians and just how much influence there is in today's music from the drum patterns and from call and response and all those beautiful elements of music from way back when, Caribeño, you know?
Of course, and for us, we have like such a combination where it's European influence, we have, you know, even Asian influence, we have African influence, and that is forming our music. And it sounds to me like, you know, if it was Puerto Rican studies, it was a lot of salsa. Did you get any merengue, bachata in there?
Yeah, I mean, I think we covered de todo. I mean, shout out to Tony Nadal and to his wife, Milga Morales, both two just prolific artists and, in Milga's case, administrators for Brooklyn College, advocates for both the teachers, students, and Latinos of New York City.
That's awesome.
Brooklyn College also has a lot of history, a lot of Latino history. There was a great film in the New York Latino Film Festival 2 years ago about the 50 years of the Puerto Rican Alliance at Brooklyn College, which as a Dominican I was part of because they welcomed me because it was about celebrating being Latino. It was about celebrating at the time being the minority on campus and making noise.
Let me ask you this one class you take with, you know, this professor who changes your perspective on so many, like just goes on a deeper level to your culture, right? Now, it's no longer like, you know, your aunts and your uncles and the parties. Now you're going and you're actually studying this. Higher level education impacts your life in a sort of way where you start saying, this is who I really am. Is this where like things start to pivot? Because since then, you know, people, sometimes they become advocates, right? Like they're activists for their community. They go out and take on political careers. You embrace something completely different, which, by the way, I feel it's much more impactful. You know, being on the airwaves, being present in front of people. And I don't want to let it out the bag because you've just done so many things, but people are hearing you everywhere and they're seeing you everywhere, and you're doing things for folks who don't have voices right now. And you're making it in a lighthearted sort of way, just like even the conversation we're having right now, everything's super lighthearted. Was it that class?
I think that class made me declare the major for Latino studies because I saw, there's a need for me to further this education, like absorb everything that I can, and then outside of Brooklyn College, do what they've been saying I'm here for. I'm going to get a well-rounded education that I can go out in the real world and kill it. Yeah. And that's exactly what I did. And for a long time, when I graduated, I couldn't really find something that married both my passion for being a Latina, the education that I received about my heritage, and even down to like consumer behavior. There were classes about Latinos in the media. Shout out to the TV and radio department, whom I'm working with now, current day. I have an internship program.
Full circle. Wow, look at that.
Full circle.
Yeah.
I mean, Anthony, I taught at the school for 4 years.
Yeah.
I taught a multicultural marketing class on Saturday afternoons because before all this show business stuff, I was a marketer, a full-time marketer. And then I'm on the alumni board. And also, just like, being on campus and active with the students, it comes full circle. I spoke at the commencement ceremony last summer.
Good
I gave the keynote. It's just
good for you.
crazy.
Now you've got business, you've got marketing, you've got the actual production, and now you're a talent. You're a talent. And as I've been hinting the whole way, señores, eres un talento no solamente porque está aquí en el programa, pero es un talento, una personalidad que está en los aires de comunicaciones. So this is absolutely amazing that all of this is coming together for you. And when I fast forward, you're also a mom.
Oh yeah, that.
And this is a huge accomplishment because all of this is happening while being a mom for two beautiful boys.
Thank you.
But getting there wasn't easy. And talk to me about was it from your mom's side or from your dad's side? What kind of kept your head up every single challenge that you faced? What kept your head up and really got you to the point where now it's like when we talk full circle, you have your full circle. You're establishing your career, you're getting yourself known out there, and then you have these people, these two little people, in your corner.
I love my little humans. They're the best. They support my career. They're my biggest fans. They keep me going. I do it all for them. But it wasn't hard to get here, to motherhood. We tried to conceive for a really long time. I miscarried a bunch of times. I lost 5 pregnancies altogether. I did IUI, intrauterine insemination. I did IUI, IVF, ay coño, ay mi madre, ay Dios mío,
ay qué dolor,
ay Dios santo, ay qué dolor,
yes.
ay pásame esa botella. I did
mío.
all the I's to try to get pregnant. Slept with my legs upside down, just sleeping upside down, drinking molasses, everything,
Wow.
And I just couldn't hold a pregnancy.
A lot of women are out there that feel themselves incapable of anything in life because they just couldn't deliver a baby, right? So, how do you encourage them to stay, strong and say, you know what, this will have its time and its place in your life if it's meant to be. Don't give up. How do you message that to women, knowing that you've been through so many of them?
This is such a great question. Okay, I'm trying to give it my answer in a few words. Okay, so for me, it's almost always about paying it forward. I have all this experience and knowledge from when I was trying to conceive, and I'm like, okay, now that I got my 2 miracles, which were not planned, and by the way, no IVF, no nothing, just hope. And the other stuff too, you gotta takes 2 to tango and stuff, you know what I mean?
Of course.
But what I have done is truly, I continue to try to pay it forward in any way that I can. I did some work with the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, also known as ACOG, because I felt that not only do we need to tell these stories and talk about it, but also how it's so shunned in the Latino community. We need to obliterate that. We need to talk about these things, about love, life, and loss, so that we can exchange secrets and build together, so that women can be stronger and taught to not be embarrassed about miscarriage.
Right, no shaming on something like that. Porque, señores, a veces es cosas biológicas que uno no puede controlar y son cosas que le pasa a uno. And, no es que uno quiere que le vaya a pasar eso. No es que uno a propósito no se está cuidando, no se está alimentando. A veces eso es un cambio grande en su vida. This is a big body change, right? Big biological change that sometimes, whatever it may be, it doesn't happen. And if it doesn't happen and it's not meant to happen at that point in time, how do you keep your faith in the fact that at one point the man upstairs or however it is that you look at life, has this for you and not just simply give up? How do we give that hope to other people?
Instinctually, I felt it when they would tell me no, when the doctors diagnosed me infertile with reoccurring miscarriage. That was a diagnosis. I'm like, but that doesn't mean anything. You're not telling me, even though I have PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, I know I can get pregnant, because that doesn't stop me from getting pregnant.
Wow.
It may make it a little difficult. And you're giving me all these drugs, and we're doing all these things, and it's not working, but I still instinctually feel like I can do this. And so, I not only took it to the bloggers and all the websites with information to make me feel better, to instill hope. Podcasts.
Yes. A
podcast called Beat Infertility, which talks about this and other topics and instills that glimmer of hope at the end of every episode. And I'm a guest. Fast forward a few years, I'm actually a guest on an episode of a podcast that got me through the sadness of reoccurring miscarriage. And then I also I try to elevate other women through the conduits that I can, and one of them is comedy, and one of them is my writing. And so I wrote a short film called The Swimmers that made its round through the National Hispanic Media Coalition Latin Extreme Showcase. And I think through that, I'm also trying to communicate that when the doctors tell you no, there's always hope. You just gotta find that glimmer. It's in your heart.
I love that.
It's in your circles. It's with your mom. It's wherever it is. You just find it and you keep going. And then like just faith. I had to envision it. I know everybody's talking about manifesting. Manifesting is like the thing to do right now. It's like trending on TikTok and whatnot.
Hashtag.
Truly manifest. It was something I wanted. I felt broken, to your point. Like, I felt like, oh my God, I'm a woman. I'm put on this earth to procreate. And here I am, like, no creating. And
And this isn't because of societal norm telling you to procreate. You actually wanted to have a baby. And, you know, you're talking about several miscarriages, but you had this faith. How did that keep you along? And what did you resort to? Like, what was your calling? How did you communicate, you know, to manifest, let's say, and make this possible?
Yeah, I had to literally envision myself holding a baby. And there was one trip, actually. This is going to sound really super granular, but I would often take trips after one of my losses. I would just, you know, you brought it up earlier, I would just go to Africa, like literally like Nas and shit. Like, I don't know if I can curse, sorry.
Oh, you've traveled the world, I know that. So you would actually take a trip to another country?
You can probably draw a map, you know, like on Special Victims Unit, and correlate my trips with my pregnancy losses.
Wow.
And so, oh my God, I'm losing my train of thought now.
It's okay. It's okay. Put yourself back together.
It's like a sensitive subject for me.
Put yourself back together, because what I want to just let people know is that, listen, señores, esto es comunicación uno al otro. Y a veces nosotros tenemos que comunicarnos con nuestra pareja, porque no se puede sentir uno o el otro inadecuadamente, o sea, inadecuado para ser padre o ser madre. Eso es comunicándose uno al otro, porque a veces la ciencia, y a veces uno tiene que ir más allá de la ciencia y ponerle fe a la cosa. Y ella obviamente tuvo que coger su terapia y tomar sus viajes cuando le pasó algo tan impactante, pero la fe siempre estuvo. And you always kept the faith.
I always kept the faith, and I went on this one trip, and now I remember there was this little boy that worked at the resort, and he like looked like me. I looked at him and I was just like, I don't know, I kind of see you as like what I want my son to look exactly like.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Como café con leche color. Like, it didn't matter, but I'm just like looking at this beautiful little brown child, knowing that, you know, my baby daddy is like a darker skinned Boricua, and what we would make would be this like beautiful melting pot of a child. So I envisioned this little caramelo boy with big eyes, and he was dancing. He was part of the like animación from the resort, you know, like the guys that do the, you know, and I'm like, you're so cute. And I swear, te lo juro, Anthony, my oldest looks like him.
Wow.
I manifested, like I manifested without even realizing. I was like, I want a little boy just like that.
A sign from the man above. And with that, I'm going to go to a quick break, folks. This was a deep topic, and I appreciate you sharing that, because I feel a lot of women need to hear that and need to have their spirits uplifted, you know, and a lot of men need to understand how to be supportive and by your side. So with that, folks, I'm going to go to a quick song here, and I couldn't think of another one, but since we're talking about faith, well, guess what? Jesus Walks. Take it away, Kanye.
De regreso con Anthony from the Neighborhood.
Así mismo, señores, regresamos de esa chévere canción Jesus Walks, because we were talking about faith, manifestation. I mean, so much energy that goes into the procreation of life. And we're talking about life in the physical form when we left off, but I think that you gave birth, or your teacher helped give birth to a whole new life. There's Rachel that we know, right? You took the skills of business and marketing, which is obviously, you know, part of your major, but then the Latino side got really injected in there. And I think it's a very pivotal time that this is happening, because the palette of what is media is becoming much more colorful in the way of like visual colors, but also culturally, and all the things that we can share and learn from one another. So when we move on to, you know, being a mom, which is the hardest job in the world,
but the most fulfilling.
Yes.
At the same time, the most fulfilling.
I gotta say, it's probably the most rewarding when you go home every single day, and even when the worst of the worst things happen, you just feel like you're the one that can handle it, and it's empowering, right?
The cuddles cure everything.
Yeah.
From like COVID to sadness. Like, it's just, we all had COVID together, and without those cuddles, I probably would have not made it through.
What are their ages right now?
Right now, they're 7 and 4, two boys.
Oh man, that's a lot of fun. And with mommy, so boys with mom, hey, you know how You know how it is.
I get cuddles to the left, I get cuddles to the right. It's just so great. Now I'm a basketball mom too, so I'll be like balling, rocking J's and
That's
stuff. I don't know
cool.
who I am, but I love her.
Oh, that's so awesome. That is so awesome. Now, I want to jump into your career because who you have been in your career has been many, many different characters. And I want to take it back to when you started, which is what I think when you started, Bochinche Bueno.
Oh my God.
That show? Okay, so she had a
Ay,
show
Dios
called
mío.
Bochinche Bueno. And I'm going to fast forward through them, but you're going to obviously pick the one you want. But then co-creator of Latinos Out Loud,
Yes.
which has been nominated for a Webby Award before.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping there's many more things to come. I mean, you could tell me what's in the works right now, but you've also appeared on 1010 Wins, the Pix 11. I mentioned the Webby Awards, NBC Bringing the Funny, Peacock TV. You were a New York Latino Film Festival, not only red carpet correspondent, but you were also in a film that premiered there that what was the name? Super Blocked.
Full circle.
Super
right?
Blocked. I mean, there's so many things. I mean, basically, she's a podcaster, she's a writer, she's a producer, she's a voiceover artist, and the mommy. Now, which one was your favorite? What are you working on now? Like, let's go through this.
This is so exciting. So, like, I have to shout out podcasting, like the industry, because it's really taught me so much and it's helped cultivate the tool that is my voice. And so I've been booking some voiceover roles, which is so exciting. The
Nice.
animated series I'm working on now is called The Tuttle Twins. So you can find me playing Mama or Mrs. Tuttle. It's a
Wow.
really fun educational program for kids. So check them out on Tuttle Twins TV.
That wasn't even on my list. You see how many things she's doing?
Yo estoy en todo. Estamos, you know what I'm saying? I mean, we outside. So I'm still working on that. We're in production for the second season right now.
Yeah.
And it's super cool. No, lies. We're in production for the third season. The second season is rolling out. And also, I had just wrapped, and it was announced today that there's an award nomination for this podcast that I worked on, a Spotify original called La Cabina Telefónica, which stars Fannie Lou.
So you got another nomination for a Webby Award.
Okay, so you want me to take the cat out of the bag?
You got another
all right.
one?
Okay. So the cat is now out of the
It's
bag.
like
This is fresh. This is hot off the press. I don't know if like
Yeah, you
Triple
got a
R
couple
could
of
put some
cats
kind
coming
of
out the
sound
bag.
bite, like some quarter. This is hot.
Wow.
This is hot news.
Let's go.
Coming in hot. Coming in hot. Today's a very proud day in my career. I'm so glad that I'm here to bring the cheer because it was announced today that Latinos Out Loud is nominated for a Webby Award for Best Comedy Podcast.
Wow.
And then shortly thereafter, I found out that La Cabina Telefónica, the show that I did voice work on, is also
So
nominated.
2 nominations.
And that is for Best Scripted Fiction Podcast.
Way to go. 2 nominations. Let me get a round of applause. Woo.
I mean, I'm not creator of Cabina Telefónica.
I
I
love
just
it.
do voice work on it, but it was such a wonderful project to work on. And you hear other voices that you guys know, like Fannie Lou and Isabella Gomez, Gadiel Del Orbe. Like, it's a great cast of characters.
Wow, that is amazing. So you're doing all of this at one time? Like, you've got, I mean, Bochinche Bueno was a long time ago, but so you're doing Latinos Out Loud.
Yeah.
You're doing Tuttle, right? You've got the Cabina Telefónica. And then you're making all these appearances everywhere. And not to mention you making the appearance here, which we're so grateful for. But how do you do it?
Okay, a lot of these things, not everything is happening concurrently. So, like, some projects are recorded. Like, we recorded something else that recently came out, which I urge everybody to check out because it taps into mental health awareness. A podcast called Michelle Rojas Is Not Okay, which is out now on Audible, but it's on all the platforms. But it's an Audible and Broadway video show. And shout out to Jamie Fernandez and Guillermo and his wife, Wendy, and to Ashley Soto Paniagua for writing this show. And they cast me to do some characters, so I did some more voice work on there. And it again taps into mental health and Dominicans and how we have to embrace it as a culture a little bit more in order to elevate together and be there for one another and tap into those emotions. Man, male, female, however you identify.
Well, let me talk about females for a second because you've got a new show as well. It's called Hilarious. Right?
New, but not really. Been around since 2018.
Really? So talk to me about it though, because it's been like I've been hearing it more and more often. Every time your name comes up, it's like Latinos Out Loud, Hilarious.
Oh, I love that, Anthony.
Yeah, it's focusing on women, right? So this is like all women.
Yes.
Give me the background. Who's in the back office? Is it all women?
It's all women. It's an all-female production, from like the flyer designer to the person doing the booth to the actors, comedians, the producers. It's all female, and it feels so good. It's powerful. The brand has been in existence since 2018. We had our off-Broadway run. We've been at several different theaters, the Soho Playhouse, and then we landed at the Triad Theater, and we were about to pivot actually to perform at the People's Improv Theater, also known as the Pit, but then the pandemic happened. So the brand had to pivot. Talk about pivot.
Yeah.
We had to go digital. So we went digital. We did some shows for the hilarious YouTube channel, and then that struck us a deal with a comedy app called Rizzle TV, where they gave us a green light to do 9 short form episodes of our hilarious comedy.
That's where I think all the steam started coming up, where it's like, well, what is this thing? Hilarious. By the way, the name is super catchy. This is the wittiness I'm talking about and how clever she is. This is it right here.
I'm such a nerd when it comes to wordplay. I'm a wordplay nerd.
Yeah, I love it.
Also known as nerd play. Yeah, I just made that up. That's not real.
I love it. You must have been the kid with the collection of Mad Libs magazines. You know,
I love Mad Libs.
Yes, you start filling them in.
I still do Mad Libs with my friends and like my kids.
Yeah,
that's so great.
They hang out at the dollar section at Target. There's like tons of them there all the time, and we always pick one up.
It could be a drinking game. Seriously,
I think so.
Like racy Mad Libs with your friends. Just a suggestion.
Yes. No, I think it really can. You know what? Honestly, guys, you guys are missing out. I know you're buying all these card games, like, you know, what was that black and white deck that says like who's the enemy or something? I don't even know. But these games were the original.
Yeah,
these were the original. Wow, this is cool, and I'm glad that you're getting the nominations for 2 productions that you've been involved in, and this is the second time for Latinos Out Loud, right?
Yeah, we were nominated in 2021 for Best Comedy Podcast, and
this is a Webby Award, folks. Let's kind of go back. What's a Webby Award?
Oh, good question.
Yeah, because a lot of times people are like, Webby Award. This is digital stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like Pills. Shout out to Pills, who that's so many jokes about them. But the significance of the Webby Awards is incredible. It's basically coined as the best of the internet. This is where the best of the internet
So the Oscars of the internet.
Yeah.
There we go.
Exactly. And so things are recognized, like branded campaigns, not just podcasts, like anything that lives on the web,
anything
on
digital.
The internet.
Wow.
So ads and, documentaries.
I love it.
It's just incredible. Celebrities are nominated, it's a big deal.
I love that. And I hope that you continue to build upon this. As a matter of fact, I'm going to tell you this thing here because I've got to go to a quick break. The way you're going, I'm just hoping that you just keep on walking. And I'm going to go to a quick break with that song and we'll be right back.
De regreso con Anthony from the Neighborhood.
Señores, hemos hablado de todo aquí. Hemos hablado de toda la producción que tú has hecho, Rachel. It's been amazing. And where you're going and the fact that you guys are up again for awards. Señores, estos son vecinos tuyos. Son personas que tú conoces y le pasas por el lado todo el día y dices, wow, ¿qué están haciendo ellos? Están haciendo cosas muy impresionantes, pero le tiene que preguntar. Y este es el programa que si tú no le quieres preguntar, por lo menos puede estar como por ahí atrás escuchándolo, right? You can just be kind of like a voyeur cam. You're just out there listening and saying, wow, that person came from Brooklyn. Maybe I should talk to my neighbor. So while we're here, Rachel, you got some things coming up.
Yes.
Okay. Tell me about Hilarious. All right, because I'd like to see that that's going to become live now and actually be somewhere where people could get together. Is that happening?
Yes, it's happening, Anthony. Thank you so much. And Hilarious was created to bridge the gap between the different schools of comedy. So like the girls that are killing it on Instagram, the girls that are killing it in the sketch comedy sphere, the girls that are killing it in stand-up. I just wanted to show where all of us were together. And I love the formula because each time it gets more and more magical. And everybody brings just such passion,
Yeah.
And it's just something when women are together, we form this bond, this force that again.
A question I didn't ask is can guys go to the show?
Oh, everyone is welcome, Anthony.
We just can't work the show, but we can go to the show.
I'm going to tell you something. I would encourage that men come to the show because you will learn a thing or 2 or 3 or 10, okay? There's a lot of lessons from the stage in our comedy and a lot of messages for you and you and you and you and you.
That's so awesome.
You should definitely come.
And in terms of going and participating in things, the Webby Awards, let's go on that. Can people participate in this? How can they vote for you?
Yes, so right now the People's Choice Awards are open. So that's like where you, the people, ustedes, la gente, sorry for all that spit on the mic, but you guys can vote for winners if you go to vote.webbyawards.com and you look for Best Comedy category. You will see me in a little cartoon with the gray streak in her hair holding a megaphone. That's Latinos Out Loud. You can't miss it. Please vote for us. Tell your friend, your mailman, anybody to vote for us. I appreciate it. And then we have a hilarious show on May 12th at the Triad Theater. It's going to be a Mother's Day themed show.
Wow.
It's the perfect Mother's Day gift.
Yes.
And just follow me at Rachel La Loca to get all the information.
There's the idea. If you don't know what to get for Mother's Day for your mom, boom, right there. Just go to the show. That's awesome.
It's a great theater. It's an off-Broadway theater on 72nd Street in Columbus on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. And I promise you a good time. If not, we could talk about your money back.
Now, let's go ahead into a special segment that I have where we just ask a random question. I don't know what's in this box right over here. I pull out the box and I don't know what the question is going to be.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, it's a mystery. So with that, I'm just going to go ahead and shout out my sponsor real quick because they help us get the show done. And my sponsor is Susie Padro, and she's from Nationwide Mortgage Bankers, loan officer, NMLS number 1310470. You can reach her at 516-281-5433 for all your questions, whether you're buying a home, refinancing. Ahí está su persona de préstamos, Susie Padro, 516-281-5433. So let's get into this box right now.
Susie.
She's the sponsor.
I love it.
So this question, I don't know what it is, but your question's going to be, interesting. So, what was your love object when you were little? I guess your favorite toy?
Oh, wait a minute. Okay, when I was little. Okay, I had to remind myself.
She's like, I'm not at hilarious right now.
Wow. Okay. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind when I was little was when I first got a real Cabbage Patch Kid doll. Because Mom Dukes gave me like 2 fake ones before I got the real one. You know what I'm saying? The neighbor stitched one up and I'm like, this ain't no Cabbage Patch Kid.
It's a Garbage Patch doll.
You remember those?
Those toy cards.
Oh God,
the trading cards. I remember
like
that.
Acne Amy. It was so gross. I collected those too. Oh my God. We're nerds on the floor.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like my first real Cabbage Patch doll, which I got one Christmas after working real hard and pleading for the real one when they were like, the shiznit, when everybody was doing Cabbage Patch dolls.
That's right. I remember that. Teddy Ruxpin. Remember that with the tape and the little Teddy? I remember those toys. I was never into
Teddy Ruxpin. He was kind of a freak.
Yeah, well, they were legendary, these toys.
I didn't really like his attitude. He was a little too programmed. I'm like, why are you the perfect bear?
Yes.
Like, I'm not feeling you.
We weren't ready for the AI.
Thank you.
In a cassette.
Where's the camera? There's definitely a camera in Teddy Ruxpin, and they're trying to trace and like follow our behavior from like a different planet or something.
Wow, yes, it's going to come up in a study
Conspiracy theory, Teddy Ruxpin. You heard it here first.
Listen, I've learned so much from you, and one of the things I want to take away from this program is the stuff that we've learned here is just about life. Señor, estamos hablando de mezcla de cultura, no te dejó quedar atrás. Like you weren't pushed back, like, oh, culture shock, this, that. You kept on. You were authentic, being to yourself, and even went through the struggles. You embraced what they were, you kept your faith, and at the end of the day, you just kept on, and you had these notable people in your life just come in, and sometimes you could say it's at random, and other times it's like it was a calling to you. But now, look at what you've done.
Anthony, I just want to say, don't get it twisted. There were moments, and there are still moments, where I don't feel accepted or I belong from each of those sides. And that's still a complejo that I'm working through. I'm working through life with that complejo of going to the Dominican Republic and having to ask people to speak a little slower. Because I'm processing in English.
Give me a few words for anybody with a complejo right now that needs to get over this hurdle and really live a full life. Give me a couple of words that we can do that. We'll close the show with that.
Yeah, man. Just redirect. Like if you feel yourself going to that negative sphere of I don't belong, I'm not Dominican enough, I'm not Jewish enough, I wasn't bar mitzvahed. I'm really, like what I try to focus on is redirecting that and putting it somewhere positive, like in my writing or in an inner thought or on a note in my iPhone for a future joke, whatever it is. I don't know, whatever y'all thing is. But I do try to redirect so we don't head down that negative, because you know what? What does it mean to be Dominican enough? There's no definition of that. I am Dominican enough. I mean, I have the bandera tattooed on my back. I'm so proud to be Dominican.
Yeah.
But inside that bandera is also a Star of David. I'm also proud that like I have the Jewish religion, culture, food all around me. And I appreciate that because it makes me who I am. And it is the best of both worlds.
That's right, folks. Except you. And with that, folks, we're going to wrap up this program. I thank you for this time. Agradezco mucho su tiempo y espero que hayan conocido un buen vecino aquí desde Brooklyn. Y hasta la próxima. Lo veo en el vecindario. And I'll be seeing you back in the neighborhood.